There's a piece of technology we trust with our lives every single day, but we hardly ever give it a second thought. I'm talking about the brakes in your car. It's an incredible piece of engineering. So in this explainer, we're going to dive into the science of stopping and see how it all really works. So let's just start with a basic question. Think about it. How in the world do you safely stop 2 tons of metal, your car, when it's barreling down the highway? The amount of force involved is just staggering. But the solution? Well, it's surprisingly elegant. And it all comes down to one single concept from physics class: kinetic energy. That's the energy of motion. Your moving car is just packed with it. And here's the secret: brakes don't really stop a car in the way you might think. They're actually energy converters. They take all that forward motion, all that kinetic energy, and they transform it into something else. And that something else is almost always heat, a whole lot of it. But, of course, this incredible tech didn't just appear out of thin air. To really get where we are now, we have to look back at where it all started. The history of brakes is really a story of invention, trying to keep up with our need for speed. And you won't believe how simple it started. Back in the 1890s, the best idea we had was literally jamming blocks of wood against the wheels. Yeah, that didn't work so well once we got rubber tires. The first huge leap forward was in 1902, when Louis Renault came up with the first real drum brake. Then, in 1918, a guy named Malcolm Loghead, who, later founded Lockheed, patented the hydraulic system, and that changed everything. Finally, in the 1950s, disc brakes showed up on production cars, and that really set the stage for the kind of performance we expect today. So that brings us to today, and the system that's in pretty much every car you see out on the road. At the heart of it all is hydraulics. See, when you push the brake pedal, you're not physically clamping down on the wheels yourself. What you're actually doing is squeezing a special fluid in a tube. And because you can't really compress a liquid, that fluid acts like a super strong, flexible rope. It transmits the force from your foot instantly and evenly through the brake lines to all 4 wheels, giving you this immense stopping power. Now, that hydraulic force gets put to work in 2 main ways: with disc brakes or drum brakes. Disc brakes are what you'll find on the front of almost any modern car. They work kind of like the brakes on a bicycle. You have pads that squeeze a spinning metal disc or rotor. They're amazing at getting rid of heat. Drum brakes, on the other hand, have brake shoes that push outward against the inside of a spinning drum. They work, but they tend to trap heat, which makes them fade and become less effective. And that's why the heavy-duty work of stopping is almost always handled by the disc brakes up front. But just having raw power wasn't enough. The next giant leap forward in braking was adding a computer to the mix. This is where our brakes went from being just strong to being smart. Just picture this for a second. You're driving on a wet road and a deer jumps out. You slam on the brakes as hard as you can. What happens? Your wheels lock up, they stop spinning, and suddenly your car is just skidding. You're a passenger, you've lost all steering control. For decades, that was a huge safety problem. And the solution was the anti-lock braking system, or ABS. The idea is actually pretty simple, but it's totally brilliant. It does exactly what the name says. It keeps your wheels from locking up. It uses sensors at each wheel, and when it senses a wheel is about to lock and skid, the system automatically pumps the brakes for you, way faster than any human ever could. And the real magic of ABS isn't just stopping. It's what it allows you, the driver, to do. Because the wheels don't lock, you can still steer the car during a full-on panic stop. I mean, think about that. You can hit the brakes with everything you've got and steer to avoid the obstacle at the same time. It is an absolute game changer, no question, one of the most important safety inventions ever. Then, as cars started to change, so did the whole idea of braking. With electric and hybrid vehicles, we found an incredible new use for all that kinetic energy. Instead of just turning it into useless heat, regenerative braking basically runs the electric motor in reverse. This slows the car down, and at the same time, it acts like a generator, sending electricity back into the battery. It's braking that actually gives you some of your energy back. How cool is that? So what's next? Where do we go from here? Well, it looks like that hydraulic fluid that has served us so well for a century, it might be on its way out, because the future of stopping is looking purely electronic. So let me introduce you to brake-by-wire. In this kind of system, there is no physical hydraulic connection between your foot and the brakes. None. You push the pedal, a sensor reads how hard you're pushing, and it sends an electronic signal to a computer. That computer then instantly tells electric motors at each wheel exactly how much braking force to apply.
And the advantages here are just massive. Electronic signals are practically instantaneous, so the response is quicker than any hydraulic system. It works seamlessly with all the new driver assistance systems, like automatic emergency braking. And hey, getting rid of all that plumbing for brake fluid means less maintenance and a lot more freedom for car designers.
Which brings us to one last kind of crazy thought. We've gone from wood blocks to hydraulic fluid to pure electronic signals. As our cars get smarter and computers take over more and more of the driving, do you think we'll even need a brake pedal at all one day? What do you think the future of stopping is going to look like?